Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. Apologies for the technical difficulties here. Again, I am not the producer that I would like to be here, and my technology is a little behind me here. But nonetheless, glad to be here on this Tuesday afternoon. Apologies for the rough intro. My name is Riley Magnuson. This is East Coast Sports Investors for Tuesday, July 25th. Talking all things Tuesday night baseball in the MLB. Don't think we have too much else to discuss. Obviously, got NFL training camps getting underway and rocking and rolling. As far as other news of the day, I know positive news about C.J. Gardner-Johnson out in Detroit. From what it sounded like the other, I can't remember if it was yesterday, the other day. Glad that we don't have any season-ending injuries in that department. So obviously, thankful that we don't have to worry about that. Prayers go out to the LeBron James family. Bronny James, if you didn't see, obviously suffered cardiac arrest. I don't know if it was today or we're just finding out about that today, but obviously glad that he's in stable condition and is okay. That's obviously very scary stuff that we've been dealing with here. So aside from that, on a lighter note, as I said, Tuesday night baseball is what we're talking. Got some rivalries, some that you wish would be a little spicier, one that I wish would be a little spicier today as far as my neck of the woods. Got a handful of iffy matchups, but at the end of the day, we've got some good baseball to talk about here and a couple good pitching matchups, a couple big. I know at least one good divisional matchup, obviously, still with this Reds and Brewers tandem of matchups that's been happening over the last couple of weeks. A lot of games between them. 1.5 games, I think, in the standings there for the first spot in the NL Central. And then as far as that, we're just getting kicked off here on this East Coast Sports Investors Week here. I know we've got a good UFC event this weekend that I'm sure we'll talk about later in the week here. UFC 291. Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje. That one is going to be a doozy. That's a matchup that I have been looking forward to for quite a while there. So I'm sure we'll talk about that later in the week, and I'm sure we might trickle in some football here and there. And I'm not sure who else is scheduled as a guest this week, but obviously it's going to be lightning electricity on the closing bell here and every other show that is on East Coast Sports Investors. So without further ado, as I always do, going to keep this bad boy fairly short and sweet as the solo host today with just baseball on tap. First games, there's a handful starting at 5:40 my time, 6:40 East Coast time, so a little over a couple of hours here. And then we've got a pretty close to a full slate of baseball tonight. So let's dive right on into it. First one up, Angels and the Detroit Tigers. Griffin Canning, Eduardo Rodriguez starting pitchers tonight for this one. Griffin Canning, 5 2/3. Innings pitched, 6 hits, 2 earned runs last time out. Rodriguez, start number 4 after IL. Still kind of getting his feet underneath him, but he's been solid his last 2 here. Starts 2 and 3 after the IL stint. 7 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned runs last time out. Let him go 89, 7 innings, obviously, only 89 pitches. So maybe you see him go closer to that 90-plus range here. As far as what these two teams have been doing, Tigers still kind of treading water. I want to say 7 or 8 games under 500, kind of a couple wins, couple losses, back and forth a little bit there. Angels 5-1 in their last 6 games. So we're looking at today, and we see now a Tigers team minus 124 on money line there. Opened up closer. I want to say Tigers were minus 105 at open as far as this game is concerned. And now not only minus 124, but from where I was seeing public money 70% of the way on the Angels side of things. And now we're seeing and despite that, the number kind of slowly trickled down to plus money range for the Angels. So interesting to see there. 8.5 total. Griffin Canning on the mound. Obviously, Eduardo Rodriguez. Reason why this one is closer to a pick'em as opposed to obviously you've got a 5-1 in the last 6 Angels team that's above 500 again up against a losing team in the Tigers. A little bizarre to see the Angels as an underdog here. So I'm not saying run all the way to the window with the Tigers in this one, but I think you could absolutely talk yourself into the Tigers putting up a few runs offensively. It is bizarre after the way this Angels team has started to play that they are an underdog after all this money coming in on them. So I might be a little more interested in the team total for the Tigers here. I think I don't know if it's plus money. You might have a hard time finding plus money. I saw a flat 4 at about minus 115. But at the end of the day, I think this is the Tigers' number. I think the Tigers can win this game. Eduardo Rodriguez could regress a little bit. He has been due for some regression. Obviously, even before the IL stint there. He's obviously a very solid pitcher, but I'm a little nervous as far as that front is concerned. So I'm going to give the Tigers, I'll say they get to 5 runs today, and that's why they should put themselves in a position to win this game. But at the end of the day, I'm going to stay away from the money line. I'm going to go Tigers team total in this one over. Obviously, if you can get that as opposed to over 3.5 at -40, whatever the heck that is, if you're doing that, then just go ahead to the money line at the -124. But at the end of the day, I do like this Tigers team to have a nice night tonight, and I think that's what we're going to see here in this game. Other couple games there at that same time slot, Baltimore and Philly. Kyle Gibson versus Taijuan Walker. Gibson 6 innings, 7 hits, 3 earned runs last time out. Let's see, getting a little bit of a trade update. That's why I'm hesitating here. Red Sox and Dodgers finalizing a trade that would send Kike Hernandez to the Dodgers. Obviously, utility man there. So another nice depth piece there for the Dodgers. So probably going to start seeing, obviously, all of this week. Probably going to be talking a lot of trades. That's the only thing I missed in the intro as far as things we're talking about this week. So back to Baltimore and Philly. Gibson, 7 hits, 3 earned runs last time out. Kind of all over, not all over the place, but kind of in that range of 6, 7 hits, 2, 3, 4 earned runs each time out for the most part this season. And now Taijuan Walker, regression last time out after a very, very hot streak. It was very good for a good stretch of time there. But last time, 6 innings, 6 hits, 4 earned runs. So a little bit of a regression like I was talking about there. Phillies 1-5 their last 6 games. Orioles get the win yesterday 3-2. Orioles 5-1 in their last 6. And if you've been paying attention, they have ascended to number 1 in the AL East. I think second best record behind only the Atlanta Braves right now. So obviously, good things happening in Baltimore. As far as this game is concerned, I think you're going to get a bounce back from this Phillies team. They had been playing some good baseball. A lot of these losses, they had a tough series against Cleveland, but lose 5-6, lose 0-1, just lose yesterday 3-2. So a lot of close losses here. It's not like they're getting the doors beat off them by any means. So I'm gonna expect a little bit of a bounce back from this Phillies team tonight. Total at 9.5. Again, you might have. I honestly kind of expect a little bit of a 2 in a row, maybe if you start from Taijuan Walker. So I'm a little more interested in this team total here for the Phillies. They're making it tough for you to get into about -120 for the most part. Consensus, maybe -115 is the best you can find for over 4.5. So it is tough. Tough to find plus money on this situation here, but I do feel good about. Honestly, I kind of feel good about the game. I feel okay about the game total over in general here, but I'd feel good about maybe both these teams putting up some runs. Taijuan Walker, like I said, having 2 bad starts in a row. You can get Baltimore -105 at the over 4.5. So maybe I don't know. Maybe you find a way to get some runs out of this game. In one or both of these pitchers giving up some runs, giving up some hits, giving up some base runners in this one. That's kind of where I'm leaning. So it does make me hesitate a little bit on saying I think the Phillies win this game. That is where I'm leaning. But a Taijuan Walker 2 in a row if he starts is kind of where I'm leaning as well. So I'll lean towards the Phillies winning the game, but I'll have a stronger lean towards both these teams having kind of an entertaining game and maybe a 6-5 type game as far as this one, 7-5, 6-4, something like that as far as this one tonight. So moving on, Miami and Tampa Bay. Didn't have strong thoughts about this one, but Cabrera versus Glasnow on the mound for these two. Cabrera's second start after the IL stint has shown a lot of flashes. He's obviously had a lot of iffy starts, some control issues here and there. Last time out, 5 innings, 2 hits, 1 earned run. So when his control is in the zone, he can really limit the hits there. Only 74 pitches pitched in that last one, first one after the IL stint there. For Glasnow, he's been back for a good minute. 7 innings, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, no walks, 9 strikeouts last time. So he's shown some real flashes. If he can stay healthy, this is he's obviously a huge piece of that rotation for this Tampa Bay team, where obviously they do a little goofiness as far as that rotation is concerned. But Miami, the issue with this one, Miami just ended an 8-game losing streak yesterday, and the Rays are 1-7 in their last 8 games. So of all the teams that are in playoff contention, these are probably the 2 coldest teams, above 500 teams that you can find right now. 7.5 is the total. And I feel good about Glasnow having a really nice game here. I don't know if 8 is enough, but it's another situation where I don't want to dive all the way in on Tampa Bay, even with how steep this money line is. -205, up from -175. So I will say it is absolutely inflated. And I'm not saying dive and take a little swing at the Marlins here because Cabrera could be bad himself. But we see a lot of these teams with those types of losing streaks be able to win a couple in a row. A little bit of a travel, not that much travel at all. It's about as close as Miami can travel. They were at home, now they're coming to Tampa Bay. But Tampa Bay offense, a little more life the last few days against Baltimore, at least 3 runs in each of those games. But at the end of the day, the 3 of the 4 losses, or 3 of their losses, 3 of the games, one of them was a win. They scored exactly 3 runs. So it's not exactly on fire here. So with a 7.5 and a minus 205 money line, it does feel a little goofy. I think if Tampa Bay wins, it'll probably be in that 3-2 type range, 4-3 or something like that. But again, I think it's inflated. If you really like Glasnow, I don't know, you kind of got to get creative and maybe go to a strikeout prop or something like that. But Cabrera is a little bit of a wild card, and if he's good, you're going to be, and you did anything with Tampa Bay, you're going to be annoyed, and he's going to be fantastic. Looks like an all-star level pitcher. If not, you go the opposite way and you bet on Miami. You might have a Cabrera start where he's giving up 6 walks and can't find the strike zone. Excuse me. So from that perspective, it's a little tough. And I don't love guys coming off that quickly off the IL, still trying to feel themselves out there. So I think this one could be a good one, but a little too many factors to try and get myself into that one there in Florida. Let's see. This one, I'm going to skip over Colorado, Washington. Don't have too many thoughts on that one. Don't think too many people are watching that one. If you've got any thoughts on any of these games or want me to talk about them, feel free to let me know. I'll circle on back. This one, though, obviously one of the ones that people will be talking about the most, Yankees and Mets, crosstown rivalry there in New York, Subway Series. Verlander and Domingo Germán. Verlander, 8 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 7 Ks last time out. Domingo Germán, 6 innings, 4 hits, 5 earned run, 3 walk, 9 Ks. So obviously 5 earned runs is not where you want. A little bit different than his other bad starts. If he's bad, he's usually giving up 8+ hits or something along those lines. So a little bit of an issue of just, I think it was against the Angels, just some timely hitting really kind of boggled his start a little bit, but 4 hits allowed and 9 Ks. There's something to work with out of that as far as moving into the next one. Yankees get the much needed sweep this past weekend over the Royals. The Mets just lost 2 out of 3 to the Red Sox over the weekend. They've been okay out of the All-Star break. The Mets here obviously took 2 out of 3 from my White Sox. So this is a big one, big statement one to try and hopefully salvage the season if possible. But the Yankees, or the Mets, minus 12 I'm seeing now. Yankees were about plus 115 at open, now minus 104. A lot of people liking the Yankees with the way they've been playing. Verlander has shown some real flashes, but obviously has had some issues. So I don't know quite what to make out of this one. I will go ahead and lean towards the Mets and Verlander having a nice day here. But at the 8.5 total, you might, on paper, obviously, you could say these two teams could have these two pitchers could have a very good game. 8.5 as opposed to a 7.5 or even an 8 is a little interesting there. So you might find your way into having some runs in this game. That 8.5 is a little goofy there. So I honestly don't know which pitcher is the one that could blow up if that's what we're talking about here. But it might even be a situation where you just plug your nose and take the over, because that 8.5 is a little goofy. As compared to what we just looked at with a Glasnow and Cabrera start where we're at 7.5. We've got a guy, Justin Verlander, who just came off of 8 innings, 3 hits or whatever I was saying, and Domingo Germán, who's thrown a perfect game this season. A little bit goofy that we've got an 8.5 total out of this one. So I might even be most interested in just plugging your nose and taking the over out of this one, and somehow we get to 9 runs. That is what I'm thinking with that one. That one could be fun if that is the case, but obviously you run the risk of a 2-1 game, and you're pissed off at yourself by the 9th inning there. So let's see. Last I checked, did we get any news on a starter for Boston? John Schreiber. So kind of just blowing past this one a little bit. Braves are starting to wake up a little bit is all I would say out of that one. Charlie Morton's a little hit or miss, but I'll breeze past that one a little bit for the most part. Seattle and Minnesota is an interesting one. George Kirby, Pablo Lopez. Kirby's, the interesting about this thing, these two teams have been playing a decent amount this past week and a half or so. These two pitchers faced each other exactly in the situation last week on July 20th. So I think that was Thursday. Kirby was fantastic. 7 innings, 4 hits, no runs, no walks, 10 Ks. So one of his, if not his best start of the season. Lopez, 5 innings, 6 hits, 2 hit. Excuse me, I messed this one up. I think it's 6 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 7 Ks. So not bad. But Kirby obviously didn't match Kirby there. That was one of the Twins' losses in their last 11 games. They're 9-2 in their last 11. Each of these last 3, though, have been one-score games, and they're taking command of the AL Central now. But the Mariners 50-50, same old song and dance all season long. It reminds me a lot of my White Sox from last year. Just cannot get away from 500. Drop down a couple, bounce back to get to 500, and you just can't get past that 500 mark more than a couple games there. So if to round it all up, if these two pitchers hadn't faced each other last week, I would probably like George Kirby. And I'm not talking about the pitchers facing each other, but seeing these lineups again for the second time in a row. If these pitchers hadn't faced each other's lineup in each of this last week, and they've been playing each other a decent amount lately, I'd probably like George Kirby. But I'm not a person that likes to go when a pitcher is seeing the exact same team a second time in a row. A lot of times, if he's fantastic, he's not going to be as fantastic as the second time around. That can be different, and he could be fantastic, absolutely. But the Twins are showing some life, obviously. I will lean towards Kirby and the Mariners, despite what I just said. But like I said, they just saw him last week. They could be ready for him today. They could have a better approach to him today. He was dominating against them last week. Could be a different story today. I will lean towards him and this Mariners team. Twins coming off of a 3-game sweep at home now as only minus 120 favorites against a team in the Mariners that obviously, like I said, can't get off 500. Not a huge difference between these two teams. But I'd like to see this one. It did open at minus 130, but I would like this one to be minus a little steeper than that if I was really confident in the Twins here. So I will lean towards the Mariners, but probably going to stay away from this one tonight. Let's see. Next one up is now onto that Reds and Brewers game. Abbott versus Burns. Abbott last time out was fantastic. 8 innings, 1 hit, 0 earned runs against the San Francisco Giants. However, he has seen this Brewers team young. He's a 24-year-old, very young if you haven't seen him. Has seen the Brewers 3 times already this year. 0 earned runs in his debut of the season. 6 earned run the next time out, and 2 earned runs this most recent time. The last 2 were right before and after the break. So I think he faced them twice in a row before and after the break there. Burns, however, if you didn't notice, these last 2 hits allowed in each of his last 2, 0 earned runs, 13 strikeouts, and 10 strikeouts these last 2 starts. One of those was against the Reds, however. This will be his 3rd time seeing this Reds team in July. So another situation where both these pitchers, even more so, have a lot of familiarity with these 2 pitchers this season. And this Reds, as far as what these teams are doing, Reds just finished their 5-game win streak yesterday to the Brewers. Brewers win 3-2 yesterday. Now this Brewers team have a 1.5-game lead on the Reds. So this Brewers team has obviously, Reds, even themselves out, got themselves back on track after a struggle point. But this Brewers team has had this Reds team's number here. So looking at it today, Brewers minus 150 with the way Burns is pitching seems pretty fair to me. I don't know what to make out of this one. Another one where you got a flat 8 with 2 guys that are probably as hot as anybody. I shouldn't say as hot as anybody. There's another guy that we'll talk about it today that's hotter than 2 Suns combined. But a flat 8 as opposed to a 7.5 with the guy in Abbott who's been fantastic in his young season here. Has shown a lot of really good signs lately, and Burns, who's been unbelievable these last 2. And instead of even I would have, if it was a flat 7, I would have probably hammered the under. 7.5, I would have said that's fair. And anything at 8 is a little interesting why we don't have anything lower than that. So whether it's the back ends, whether it's one of these starters, I don't know. It's another one that I'm just going to lean towards the over. Just kind of plug your nose and lean towards the over. This Reds offense up until yesterday during their win streak was really, really solid. This Brewers offense has been kind of consistent with 4 runs for the most part here, so maybe they do their part in that department. But as much as, again, you might see a 2-1 type pitching matchup, but if that's what we were going to see, I think we'd see not even just a 7.5, I think we'd see a flat 7. So now that we're seeing an 8, I am got my radar on it. I'm plugging my nose and kind of leaning towards the over in this one. Could be some fireworks if that is the case, and obviously these are some huge games here as not only in the NL Central, but the loser is going to have a hell of a time trying to make the wild card if they can't get this division taken care of here out of these two teams. Let's see. I don't believe I had too many thoughts on this Texas and Houston game, unfortunately. Obviously, another big game. The Texas pitching situation was a little murky earlier in the day, so I didn't get much of a good read. Still kind of murky. Yerry Rodriguez, I think you're going to see, for the most part, a bullpen day for this Rangers team. So apologize, I don't have too much going on with that one. The other one that is next is going to involve the team that I've got on my chest here, White Sox and Cubs. White Sox, the home team here. The other crosstown rivalry here tonight. Cubs actually not, the Cubs that we've talked about, the Cubs have been a streaky team. They've kind of managed to tread water and stay alive. They are 7 back of the Brewers, 5 back of the wild card. So while it's not likely at all, and they might even sell a little bit here at the deadline, they're not totally out of it. If they take these two against the White Sox, they've got they're still kind of alive here, and I think they'd only be one game under 500 if I'm not mistaken. Meanwhile, the White Sox just got swept by the Twins to put the final. If it hadn't already been in the nail in the coffin, that was the final nail in the coffin. And they would almost certainly, if they hadn't already, like I said, be sellers here this upcoming week. So that it puts a damper on this series that I am extremely fond of as far as a crosstown series. But we'll see if there's any life to them, if there's any heart to this White Sox lineup or not. You've got Hendricks versus Kopech on the mound tonight. Hendricks, 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned run last time out. Kopech, 5 2/3, 2 hits, 1 earned, 4 walks, 5 Ks last time out. Mentioned what these teams have been doing. Cubs are 5-1 in their last 6. So are they playing well? Yes. Again, I'm obvious. This is I try to stay as unbiased as I can. A Cubs and White Sox matchup is about as unbiased as as biased as I probably can be. You do have a 9.5 total. Maybe you see some runs out of this one, but I just don't know what to expect out of this White Sox lineup. They have responded well in situations of being swept or, getting embarrassed essentially or losing a series or something like that. So from that respect, I would feel decent about them. However, we've gotten to a point where I think it's hard to not realize that was the last chance for the White Sox against the Twins this past weekend. And now I'm not really sure what the vibe in the clubhouse is, if I'm totally honest with you. Offense wasn't good, but they scored 4 runs in 2 of the 3 there against Minnesota. This one probably is going to come down to Kopech. If Kopech is good, then the White Sox should win this game. If Kopech is not very good, then the White Sox probably won't win this game. But obviously Hendricks is a little hit or miss as well. I do believe the White Sox did open as minus 140, so if you're respecting the opening number, then you're respecting the White Sox at home against this Cubs team. But at the end of the day, this one is going to be tricky. And if you've got a good feel for it, I'll lean towards my White Sox. But as I said, I'm a little biased on this one. But I'll lean on them, like I said, in a lot of situations where they've had a rough series right before the upcoming series. They have been a team that has been able to bounce back in that, and then kind of in this series case, it's a 2-game series, so wouldn't hate the chance of them having a 2-game sweep here. But obviously, like I said, I'm biased. So, right, only a couple more that I had down, three more, I think. St. Louis and Arizona, I'll mention what the situation is, but I'm going to move past it. Matz versus Gallen. Reason I'm skipping it, this is Merrill Kelly's, I'm sorry, I think I wrote down Gallen, but it's Merrill Kelly first start off the IL, so I have no feel for what he's going to do tonight. He was obviously very, very solid earlier on in the season. They very much need him right now. They've got a 5-game losing streak. They're not playing their best ball right now. Cardinals did have a nice little stretch, but they went 1-3. Lost 3 out of 4 against his Cubs this past weekend here. Got a nice win yesterday against Arizona, 10-6. But like I said, not trying to dive into a start with a pitcher coming fresh off the IL in Merrill Kelly's case. Probably only going to go 5 innings or so, 70 pitches or so, I would imagine, here in this one. The guy that I mentioned earlier that is hotter than 2 suns combined, Rich Hill and Blake Snell, Pittsburgh and San Diego. Not Rich Hill. Rich Hill, 15 earned runs over his last 20 2/3 innings here in the month of July. Has not been good in July. But Blake Snell, over his last, actually exactly 2 months, dating back to May the 25th, 63 innings pitched over 11 starts. So if you're nitpicking him, you're saying he's only going 5-6 innings most of the time. However, 63rd innings pitched, only 5 earned runs allowed. I think in those 11 starts, 10 of those 11 were 1 or 0 runs, earned runs allowed. The one start that was above that was a 2-earned run start. So he has been absolutely blazing hot. However, the San Diego Padres team, you might not be surprised to learn, is somehow 6-5 during that stretch. So the back end has failed them. The offense has failed them in a lot of those starts, despite how good he has been. His Padres team is just an inconsistent mess. But they are playing Pirates, who have been actually back and forth a little bit these last few, so a little bit better than what they had been for a good stretch of time. They'd obviously been very bad there for a good stretch. But you're getting an inflated line. At some point, Blake Snell is – I'm not saying it's happening tonight. His Pirates offense has obviously not been good at all. They did just put up 8 runs yesterday in San Diego for the win, so maybe you get 2 runs. I'm not telling you to run towards the window in Pittsburgh, but – You're not going to tell me this Padres team is a minus 275 favorite. I'm at 48-53. I don't care if they're playing the Oakland A's. I call BS on that. At least at the current state, they've continued to be this. There's been nothing to suggest that they are turning themselves around. They just lost their last 2. They had a nice little 2 out of 3 against Detroit, but now they've lost 2 in a row. 1-3 loss to Detroit, 4-8 loss yesterday against Pittsburgh. This line kind of either is suggesting or just not letting anyone take advantage of Blake Snell here. So it is wildly inflated, but you've got an 8.5 total. So either Rich Hill's getting his what's lit up, or we're getting a little bit of regression from Blake Snell on top of maybe not a fantastic Rich Hill start. So maybe it's as simple as Blake Snell being absolutely unbelievable and Rich Hill is going to continue to be what he has been in July, but if you've been playing either of those two sides, this is not the point to jump into that. After, the 12th start in a row now, you're hoping for the 12th start in a row for Blake Snell to be 0 or 1 runs allowed. And in Rich Hill's case, if you've been fading him, I don't know how many in a row it's been. It's not been miserable, but it hasn't been good. Not the time to jump into either of these ones here, so especially at these numbers. Again, if you're all in on Blake Snell regression, he's going to give up 8 tonight. It's going to be, a light show. Then sure, go ahead and take the Pittsburgh Pirates. But not suggesting that's going to happen. I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but you're inflated. It's an inflated number. You're not getting the best situation here if you're taking Blake Snell and the Padres tonight. Last one up. I know I skipped a couple here. Skipping over Oakland and San Francisco. Just haven't had any type of feel for those Oakland A's games. Toronto and the Dodgers, Chris Bassett and Julio Urias. Bassett, 6 innings, 4 hits, no earned runs last time out. Urias, the other side of the coin, 5 innings, 8 hits, 8 earned runs last time out. I think it was 6 runs allowed in the first 3 innings. Let him go out there, try and figure out what his issues are. Dodgers have lost their last 2 after they obviously had a very nice hot stretch. And Toronto gets the 6-3 win yesterday. They've been obviously solid, a little back and forth here this last week or so, but they're obviously playing themselves into playoff contention here. 56-45, Dodgers 57-42, especially with Arizona struggling. Obviously, look ways to have a nice run at the NL West here, but we don't know what's going on with Julio. Pardon me. With Julio Urias here. Obviously, like I said, not good at all last time out. Has been very hit or miss and has had some really, really rough starts. Chris Bassett, I don't know what to make of him coming off of that 0-run start. He's another guy that I would like if he had a 5-run or more start, then I'd probably be jumping in on him. Not a guy that I like to jump in on when he's already rolling. I like to try and find those bounce-back starts. You got a flat 9 for a total here. Dodgers opened up about minus 150 down to minus 140. So I do feel like if it's the Dodgers at home here, you're getting a reasonable price on the Dodgers at home, coming off of 2 losses. Like I said, the loss yesterday to Toronto, they won 2 out of 3 in Texas, but lost their third one there on Sunday. So coming off of 2 losses, and now you're at home. Their offense 3 and 4 runs the last 2 days. Maybe you're feeling good about them taking care of Bassett and having Bassett look much more human than he did last time out. So I'll lean towards the Dodgers tonight, given all those scenarios there. But at the same time, you're better off going to that team total. If I really don't know how you can feel confident in Julio Urias. Is he going to get better at some point? Probably, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if he's in for a rough one again tonight. I'm not suggesting that's happening. All I'm saying is, you're better off avoiding the money line and going for the team total, and you're going to get a better price for it. Over 4.5, minus 1. Best price I see is minus 115. Other spots might make it a little longer than that, minus 120, 125, or something along those lines there. So at the end of the day, that is about it for our baseball slate. We're about 30 minutes in. Again, I believe that is about most of what we got to talk about this weekend. You got a nice golf tournament, 3M Open. Not the cream of the crop, but you got some good names up there. Assuming that's Cam Young and not Carson Young. You got Sung J M, Tony Finau, Hideki Matsuyama, Sep Straka, who's playing really well. So you got some good names up there. It's wouldn't call it a B list, but I mean, it's there's Scotty Scheffler's, Rory McIlroy, Roy's aren't there. So we'll probably talk about that as the week rolls along here, probably tomorrow, I guess, more so. Assuming Jeff Scott Brady Cannon on tomorrow. I guess I shouldn't assume, but he's been pretty consistent with that. So, and those shows have been great. So, at the end of the day, that is all I've got for you today. Thank you all for stopping by. Hopefully, we've had some fun in a couple of these crosstown series and some of these other matchups. Hopefully, we find some good value tonight and take some winners to the window if you're doing anything. So, best of luck on that front. But aside from that, I will see you all tomorrow. Thank you, Connor, for stopping by. I apologize I didn't mention you earlier. Have a great night, everybody, and I believe I will see you all tomorrow. Have a great night. Thanks.